Let's go. I'm unstoppable, do the impossible. I'm irresponsible, yet I'm phenomenal. I got an arsenal, I'm dropping bombs, you know. No, I'm not stopping, no. Conquer the obstacle. To the top, here I go, think I'm chosen to be the king of rock, think the people have spoken. I can hear the tick-tock of the clock, I'm in motion. So now I'm gonna pop, causing all this commotion.
All right, so let's get into these rapid fire recaps, and we'll do two. Then we'll do the Mike's trivia segment, and we'll do two more. We'll wrap this up for tonight. So let's start off. 5 minutes starting now. Monday Night Raw from this week.
I'm sick and fucking tired of them having Nia slip every week. This shit is terrible. Quit fucking doing it. You're beating a dead horse. Just like when you put Lana through a table 9 fucking times. I don't care if there was a payoff or not. Quit making the bitch slip. It's stupid.
What's the payoff for this?
I don't know.
She doesn't slip one week. Like, you know what I'm saying? What's the payoff?
Yeah, I'm not sure. RKO or RK Bro, I'm sorry. I gotta admit, it's starting to grow on me a little bit, just because Randy Orton. That's the only reason. Randy Orton.
What's he gonna have? Fucking snakes and birds flying out of his ass this time?
Bruh.
Don't say. Don't ever say.
Don't say
never.
that shit too loud.
Yeah, they'll hear you. But they are 2-0 now. But they faced off against Elias and Riker after Elias and Riker were trying to hit the New Day backstage with more tomatoes, but they accidentally hit Randy Orton with them. Riddle almost killed Elias during the finish of this match. He did a flip off the top rope. He landed right on Elias' head with his full body weight. I felt bad for him.
Wear on the head.
But other than that, I'm starting to enjoy RK Bro a little bit, but I mean, I get what Thomas last week was saying. It's entertaining to a degree, but yeah, I don't think it should last very long. It'll get old real quick. We also had Angel Garza. I'll give him. This is part of my highs. Angel Garza got a little shine here. They finally got him on TV a little bit more. He won a good match. But the thing after the match was he took a rose, stuffed it up Drew Gulak's ass, and he then proceeded to wind up and kick it up his ass. So it's kind of a weird little thing he's doing now, kind of like his calling card. But I was glad to see him get a little time. And Mansoor was another one. Mansoor got signed to Raw, so rest in peace, Mansoor. And the funny thing was, by the end of the night, he was already buried. They put him in with Sheamus, and I don't think they actually had a match. But by the end of the night,
they had a match. It was an open challenge. I think Sheamus is doing open challenge matches, but not for the title.
Right, he's just destroying guys. And Mansoor was destroyed.
I don't know if this was this. I'm pretty sure it was this week. Humberto Carrillo came out.
Yeah, it was him and Mansoor.
Yeah, well, no, Humberto caused the DQ.
Oh, okay. But then Sheamus proceeded to beat them both up after, I think.
I'm pretty sure of that, yeah.
Yeah, so, again, I'm glad you're introducing a new guy, but if you kill him on the first night, it's kind of
that's the thing. That's also the first loss he suffered, I think. And
he had like a 49-50 win streak on 205 Live. And they, of course, Vince ain't going to recognize that probably. He's just going to do what he wants to do. So there's that. AJ and Omos finally returned after WrestleMania break. They literally had the exact same match with the New Day they had at WrestleMania. When Kofi about killed himself diving to the outside, AJ Styles had to save his life during a trust fall. Also, we had Charlotte defeating Dana Brooke. It was a pretty bad match. Rhea Ripley, I think she's kind of dead already on the main roster. Sonya Deville, for no apparent reason, puts Charlotte in the title match at Backlash, so it's a triple threat now with Asuka, Charlotte, and Rhea. So there's no explanation. The only thing I can think of is maybe Charlotte's got something on Sonya and she's manipulating her. But I don't know if they're doing that or just
There's literally no indication for Charlotte being in this match other than just fucking being there.
Yeah. We also got Morrison versus Damian Priest. Damian Priest won after a distraction finish where Miz accidentally distracted Morrison, the moist voice of Monday Night Raw himself. So I don't know if they're teasing a Morrison-Miz breakup here, but it sounds like
it's good.
By the way, on that, apparently Priest has been feuding with the Miz, Morrison, and a little bit of Riker and Elias since fucking February.
Okay.
And I think he debuted in February.
Yeah.
So.
Also, we had Lucha House Party defeated Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander clean. And after the match, Cedric Alexander beats up, or no, he didn't beat up. He broke up with Shelton after the match. So I don't know if they're repackaging Cedric Alexander, but Shelton is probably soon to be in catering.
Yep.
Sucks to be
if he's not already there.
Yeah. I don't know why you break up a tag team. You need tag teams, but anyway.
Well, they got RK Bro. That's all they need.
Yeah, I guess. In the main event, saw Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman. Another distraction finish because Drew McIntyre was on commentary. Lashley wins with a spear after Drew and Braun got into it on the outside, and then the show goes off the air with Drew McIntyre hitting the Claymore on both guys. Another triple threat for Backlash for the title. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of there for me.
It's just the same old shit every week.
Lots of DQ finishes, distractions, and rematches. It's kind of the thing Raw's been doing a lot lately.
Yeah,
unfortunately. But it wasn't as bad as last week, in my opinion. But kind of the same with NXT. But that is now the 5 minutes for Raw. So we'll move on to NXT. So we'll start that clock countdown. Whoops, wrong button. Hold on a second there. Okay, Raw or NXT, 5 minutes. The match, the show started off really good, actually. I thought Leon Ruff versus Isaiah Swerve Scott in a Falls Count Anywhere match. This was a great match until the interference finish, which is something. But as bad as I rag on WWE right now for doing these interference and distraction finishes, this was the only match on NXT that had this. So good job WWE and NXT for that. I can't remember. I think his name was AJ Francis, one of Isaiah Swerve Scott's entourage, came down and dropped Leon Ruff on his head on the barricade outside. It looked like it sucked, by the way. Yeah, so Isaiah Swerve Scott picks up the win there. Okay. Then we had Austin Theory with Gargano and Regal's offers. They were looking for Regal, but I guess what's her name? The new girl with the dog. Frankie Monet was in there. No, it was Scarlett Bordeaux. It was Scarlett Bordeaux. I'm sorry, or Scarlett. She was sitting there, and of course, she's popping out of her, attire. And I guess Austin Theory then commented on. He said, "quote Those are the biggest things I've ever seen." But then he looked down and was referencing her fingernails. But obviously, the innuendo was there. And that, yeah, so it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like, okay. And I guess that ticked off Karrion Kross, so they set up a match against Austin Theory next week. Regal called that. We had Asher Hill versus Cameron Grimes. I'm not sold on Cameron Grimes yet. I'm not going to lie. His comedy is a little too much for me at the moment, but he's got good ring skills. So I'll give him that. And I think the stuff he's doing with Ted DiBiase, which he tried to go to a bar after his squash match, and he was going to get in the VIP section. Ted DiBiase apparently had already bought out the entire bar. He rolled up in a limousine, laughed at his face, basically, and then they had this great shot where they were panning up from Cameron Grimes, and Grimes was just going, DiBiase! So it was kind of funny. So I'll give him that. That was kind of cute. Taya Valkyrie, or the Frankie Monet, so far I think is being wasted, and she's a lot like Lacey Evans on the main roster right now. They're just kind of she's kind of acting like she's better than everybody else, that sort of thing. Ciampa and Toothless Timmy, though, versus Grizzled Young Veterans was another great match, though. NXT's got good matches on the show up and down. Submission win for Ciampa and Thatcher, which looks to me like they're setting up a 3-way with MSK, or maybe a 4-way even with Imperium for the tag titles probably going forward. That could be cool.
That'd be good.
That'd be a great matches. So good tag team development. I'll give them credit for that. Better than the main roster with the tag team division. Karrion Kross promo. This was a normal Monday Night Raw segment where the champion will come out, do a promo, which Karrion Kross did a good job at. But then we had Pete Dunne's music hit. Pete Dunne come out. Then we had Kyle O'Reilly's music hit. He come out. Then we had Finn Balor's music hit. He come out. And then it basically ended up with them all wanting a shot at the title. And it ended up being a brawl, which ended up with Kross standing tall until from behind Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory attacked him, setting up the feud with Austin Theory next week on the show. And then Gargano probably wants a shot at the title as well. So it was just a typical set up a title match, main event segment type deal. Then we had
could be said this could set up a tournament for that number one contendership.
It's possible.
You got guys that are
at least 4 guys.
So.
Yeah, and regardless of whether you like the setup with the interview segment, all the guys could work pretty good in my opinion. Yeah. So I'd be fine with that. We then had Sarai versus Zeta Ramir in a squash match. It was a good match, but Sarai, though, I was impressed with her more last week. In this match, she kept kicking Zeta Ramir directly in the head hard multiple times with drop kicks, and so I don't know if she's just working that strong style and isn't backing off too much, but it looked like it sucked for Zeta here. We also had LA Knight defeating Jake Atlas. It was a short and clean match. It was okay. Legado del Fantasma had a promo and, talking about how they were going to maybe go up against MSK. And then, of course, we got Kushida got on the big screen with his title and challenged the challenger, Santos Escobar. You'd think that would have been reversed with Santos challenging Kushida.
Man. When you have a fighting champion, he's like, nah, fam, we got to settle this.
I mean, and they're going to set that up next week on NXT. Next week we got that. Cruiserweight title match, then Austin Theory carrying Cross, and then they also have Raquel Gonzalez and Mercedes Martinez for the women's title again. So 3 big matches for the show, so good booking going forward. Then the show ended up with the street fight for the women's tag team championship. Ember Moon, Shotzi Blackheart versus Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell the Way, where it was a brutal match. A lot of fun to watch. A lot of spots that probably didn't go as planned. A couple of ladders and tables that didn't break. Looked like it sucked for the participants, but it was good to watch. A lot of crazy spots. And we have new women's tag team champions. The Way win the belts here. I'm perfectly fine with that. Of course, they're doing a lot with Indy, with Dexter Lumis right now. But the match was great. I highly recommend checking this out. It was one of the best of the week, regardless of some of the misses. So, any thoughts on that? Anybody else watch it?
No.
Not really.
I was shit for wrestling this week. Like I said, there was a lot of things going on in my personal life.
There's a lot of times we can't watch every show. That's a lot of wrestling, unfortunately. But much better than last week. NXT was very, very good, except for the finish of the first match. So big marks here. All right, so let's take halftime, and let's do Digger's trivia segment. So we're going to do our weekly Mike's Fun Facts and Trivia. For those of you who don't know, our buddy Mike sends in some fun facts about wrestling of old, and sometimes new, just depending, and he sends us in a trivia question, and we are doing a bit of a competition leading up to SummerSlam. As of right now, I believe the points are Brandon is in the lead with 2 points.
Damn right I am.
And I think it's Damon and Tony at 1.5 apiece. And then I'm pulling up the rear at 1 point as of right now. So I got to get caught up here because we're going to do something for the loser or the 3 losers. We're going to figure out what we're going to do here. But so we're going to cut to the video right now. We're going to watch it, and then we're going to see what we can do about the answer to the question. So here we go.
In 1953, Capital Wrestling Corporation was born. It was founded by Jess McMahon, the grandfather of Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon Sr., Vince's father. In 1963, they became the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, breaking away from the NWA following a dispute over the NWA World Championship between Lou Thez and the original Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers. Now, of course, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation eventually became the WWF during the title reign of Bob Backlund. The WWF World Championship would be held by many great wrestlers. And in 2002, of course, we all know the pandas from the World Wildlife Fund attacked, and the World Wrestling Federation was no more. They had to get the F out, and it became World Wrestling Entertainment. Now, the question I have for you is this. Do you know who was the last recognized WWF World Champion? And for extra credit, what year did the Worldwide Wrestling Federation become the WWF? I'll give you a clue. I think I mentioned that it was during the championship reign of Bob Backlund, who became the world champion in February of 1978 when he defeated superstar Billy Graham. He would hold the championship until December 26th of 1983. So you got between 1978 and 1983 to make your guess for extra credit. We hope you all have hit like. We hope you all have hit subscribe. And I hope you enjoy the show, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
The question is, in 2002, the World Wildlife Fund, the panda guys attacked, and I guess they bought the WWF, and they couldn't use WWF. They had to change to WWE. What was the last WWF champion that was recognized before the pandas invaded? So I'm guessing it's 2002, but I don't know if that's for sure or not. But, so yeah, and then the extra credit was, when did the Worldwide Wrestling Federation become the WWF? It was during Bob Backlund's reign. That was between 1970, I think he said 78 and 83. So it's some of the one of those years in between. So yeah. I'll go ahead and tell you my pick here, since we are still recording. Like I said, my choice for the last WWF champion to hold the WWF title before the WWE transition happened, since it was in 2002, I'm going Triple H. As for the extra credit, I'm going to take my birth year, 1981, to see if that, just for good luck. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
WWF champion, The Rock.
That's possible.
Well, hold on. No, Austin.
Okay.
As for WWF, 1982.
Okay. Predator Tony, you guys are up.
83
Okay.
is my birth year, and I'll go The Rock, I guess.
And Backlund did leave late 83, I think, from what he said. So, Tony?
I will go with 1982 because that is my birth year. And I want to say either Rock or Austin.
Right.
Boy, I just opened up the answer.
All right, I'm gonna go 82 for the bonus point, and I'm gonna go with Austin. So I'm gonna go with Damon. I agree with him.
Okay. Well, this is interesting. His answer reads, the man who is recognized as the last WWF World Champion is none other than two-time WWE Hall of Famer, scumbag racist Hulk Hogan. None of us had that one. He for no good. Yeah, he goes on to say, he for no good reason other than Vince was an idiot, won the title from Triple H in April of 2002 at the Backlash event, because I believe Triple H won the title from Jericho at that event after his knee injury, I believe. On May 6, 2002, the Evil Pandas forced the WWF to get the F out and become WWE. The WWF was no more after having been called such since March 1979, when they went from WWF to just WWF. FYI, Vince came to his senses at the Judgment Day show in May, a month later, when thankfully the Orange Goblin dropped the title to The Undertaker.
That checks out.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
I remember now.
Just looked it up after that.
Damn.
He was the last WWF champion and the first WWE champion.
Who, Hogan?
No, he wasn't the first WWE champion.
You talking about Hogan?
That would have been Taker.
Yeah, Taker. Well, yeah, I guess Hogan might have been because he carried it through the transition, baby.
Yeah, he carried it through the transition.
That's possible. But yeah, I was close. I said Triple H. He was the guy he lost the title to.
So what was the bonus? What was the bonus year?
Yeah. In 1979. Since March, when they went from WWF to WWF.
So we all
we all missed that part. So we all didn't get nothing this week. Par for the course for the Mike's Fun Facts and Trivia segment here. I'm telling him he said he thought this one was much easier. I mean, it was a little easier. I'm not gonna lie, but at least it's years that we kind of all semi remember.
Okay, he said he also main evented the last WWF pay-per-view and the first WWE pay-per-view. So yes, he was your first WWE champion because he went over in the transition. That is fucking shit.
That's crazy. At least it only lasted a month, but still. All right, let's bang out these last two shows. This is considered the most anticipated show of the week, I suppose, by a lot of people. But let's get into 5 minutes now. AEW Blood and Guts.
I heard it was not. It was. I mean, a lot of people were upset.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Go ahead, Tony.
I was just gonna say I got nothing to say. I'm letting Bully Ray speak for me. Go listen to episode 654, Busted Open from this week, and Bully Ray will speak for me.
Okay. I don't know exactly everything he said, but I believe they were kind of along the lines that I am. I think I could be wrong. Of the Blood and Guts match itself, great match, but the ending was shot poorly. Obviously, I don't think anybody on the internet is wanting Chris Jericho to fall off a cage onto solid concrete. I don't think anybody's saying that. However, I will fully agree.
No, a lot of people are saying that, and they're idiots.
There may be some. I'm not going to deny that. But I think for the most part, what most people were just wanting them to have shot that better to where it didn't look so obvious. To the WWE's credit, a lot of times they do shoot that better. There's also been times they haven't shot it real well. But to me, it's kind of reminiscent of the barbed wire death match they did. The ending, yeah, granted, the ending is a big part of the match as a whole. So a lot of people are going to remember the last thing they saw, absolutely. And AEW's got to get better with their finishes, no doubt about that. I'm going to flat out admit it. However, both of those matches before the finish were great. From what I can gather here, they worked it well. They had the guys come in first two guys were in for 5 minutes. It was every 2 minutes after that. I thought that was spaced out really well. They had good spots. They maybe a little more blood than they need to have done for sure. Because to me, I think Bully even might have mentioned this too on Busted Open, that the only person in the match who really needed to bleed was MJF, maybe Jericho. But everybody else's blood was just gratuitous, and it didn't really matter. But the spots were good. There were a few botches where Guevara was trying to jump off the ropes and things like that. But for the most part, it was brutal. It was about everything you would expect out of a War Games type of match. But that's kind of my thoughts on the main event. Anybody else have thoughts on the main event itself?
It's like Bully said that, and he said this when it came down to the barbed wire match too. Vince McMahon said, "You're only going to remember the finish."
And that's not wrong.
You really remember anything other than no? That's what everyone's talking about, the finish. It doesn't matter whether that was a perfect match. They're talking about the finish. That's all you're going to remember is the finish.
And that is a big part of it. You're not wrong. Anybody else?
I didn't see the shit, so.
I mean, I think it's worth checking out, if nothing else. But if that's all we got to say about that main event match, I guess I'll move on to a little bit of the rest of the show. There were some, outside of the first two matches with Moxley and Kingston versus Nakazawa and Omega, and Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall. For the most part, good matches, but the big criticism is the referees. They have got to start calling these matches more as shoots or something, because you had blatant.
They got to call it more consistently.
That too, because we had blatant, use of foreign objects in the Moxley Omega tag match, and then in the Cody match, you had Cody was going to go use his weight belt as a weapon. The ref stopped him, warned him to be a DQ, but then immediately QT Marshall uses his weight belt to attack Cody, no DQ, right in front of the official, and then Arn Anderson gets involved on the outside where with Marshall, he's shoving his head into the.
That's QT right in front of the ref.
Yeah,
Nothing.
Ref doesn't do anything. Now, outside of those spots, the matches were great, in my opinion. But those are big nitpicks, and that needs to change.
You can't say it was great if there are blatant oversights like that.
I should say more like well-worked, I should say. Because the Cody QT match, I feel like you could have built to at least a main event on Dynamite itself. But, yeah, you're right. With those big glaring holes, yeah, it is a bit.
I seen Cody Blade. I seen
that too.
Cody Blade right out of the blue.
Yeah.
I seen Jericho not only give a signal, but Blade as well. There's too much shit that is being let slide by.
They have to get their camera angles better.
Bitch with AEW. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not saying WWE is perfect.
Agreed.
I'm not saying in Ring of Honor everyone has. But God damn it, you cannot sit here and everybody sucks AEW's dick like they're the greatest thing fucking walking the earth right now. And they are the farthest. They're a fucking wet dream at this moment, if that. They need to grow, and they need to start getting their shit together.
And hopefully they will learn from these mistakes.
And it's been that way since the start of the company. What was the first Double or Nothing with Dustin versus Cody?
Mm-hmm.
You clearly see Dustin cut way too fucking deep.
Oh man,
that was
that
rough.
You see him just he did.
We watched that pay-per-view together.
Yeah.
Now, I want to rush through real quick because we're about out of time. But the one thing that they did set up was Miro versus Darby next week for the TNT title, which they threw Darby down. They took a tumble down concrete stairs, which is probably going to set up the fact that he's not going to be 100%. And Miro will probably win the title because you can't beat Miro now. He's got to win the belt. Darby could take the loss. Also, they're setting up Orange versus Pac for number one contendership spot against Kenny Omega at Double or Nothing. It'll be the first main event with no limitations on the crowd. It'll be a full capacity crowd, so Orange Cassidy will probably win because he's over with the crowd, regardless of whether you like him as a character or not. It makes sense to put him in with a crowd, I suppose. Bucks, if
he fucking wins that title,
he's not going to win the title. If he does though, I agree with you. It won't happen though, but I think Kenny will put him over. Young Bucks versus SCU next week for the tag titles. SCU is probably going to break up because they said the next match they lose, they break it up. So Young Bucks are going to win and probably go on to face Moxley and Kingston at Double or Nothing. So it should be good. And Yugi Nagata versus Moxley next week for the IWGP US title. So a good show, I think. Again, NXT and AEW both promote their shows a week ahead of time. Go big marks for that. So let's move on to the last show of the week, and we'll get out of here. 5 minutes for SmackDown this week, starting now. The show opened up with Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. It opened up with Roman Reigns out in the ring talking to, hey, he's the greatest ever, that sort of thing. Acknowledge me. When Jimmy Uso returned, we got the brother of Jey Uso's finally back. And it kind of devolved when Cesaro came out there. Rollins attacked him from behind. And the match, it was going Seth Rollins' way until Jey Uso looked like he was going to hit Cesaro for Rollins, and Rollins refused, said he doesn't need help because he ain't Roman, and he didn't need his help. So then Jimmy, let's see here, they kicked, Jimmy interfered and kicked Rollins for kind of getting in Jay's face, and that allowed Cesaro to get the win. So Cesaro will now be facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania Backlash for the Universal title. So little dissension in Roman's crew there.
Not really.
Well, we'll get to that. It's getting worse by the end of the show.
Okay.
And it's interesting to note, Teddy Long came out and booked this match because they were doing throwback SmackDown this week. So and it was funny. They kept showing the old SmackDown fist in a 3D CGI graphic like they do for WrestleMania, but they could not get apparently the actual set in there. Which to me, it's like you couldn't spring to do that. I get you had the Thunderdome set up, but it's kind of like I think everybody would have rather seen the actual set. But anyway, backstage, Teddy Long and Sonya set up a 10-man tag match for later. They tried to get Sami Zayn to dance with Teddy Long, but that was the last we saw of Teddy, I believe. A bunch of matches that really didn't do much, really tell all stories. Carmella defeated Ruby Riott by submission. Bayley then had a segment where she come out and celebrate all the women's champions of WWE's history, including like Alundra Blaze, Jacqueline, Lita, Trish, Ivory, Beth Phoenix, and then got to Bianca Belair when then she started ripping into Belair. Belair come out to kind of confront her, and then of course Bayley left her laying, setting up their title match at Backlash. Then we had Jimmy and Jay. Well, Jimmy earlier confronted Roman Reigns saying, I ain't nobody's bitch, and I'm not going to take orders from you, basically. And he won't talk to him like he does to his brother Jay. So Jimmy's flat out standing up to Roman here, saying he's not going to do this stuff. So Jimmy and Jay confront each other later. Jimmy's is trying to tell Jay, dude, I get he's family, but he wouldn't even be Universal Champion without you this year. So he's trying to talk sense into Jay. Jay's trying to tell Jimmy, but we're all family, dude. You know, when he's good, we're all better for it. So they have a good back and forth here. I thought it was pretty creative. So I like the fact that they're maybe playing Jimmy and Jay against each other a little bit. I don't think
I would love to see a match between the two of them.
That may happen. I'm not sure.
I think Jimmy.
Pretty sure I called this.
Jay is too far gone at this point.
Yeah, Jimmy though has just been off for a year. Come back as fresh to this.
Yeah.
So it's a nice wrinkle they're adding. So high marks to this. This is great storytelling in my opinion.
I think Jay's too far gone, and I think he'll end up fighting his own brother over this.
It's very possible. And we had a little bit more of that before the end of the show. We had Dominic Mysterio facing Dolph Ziggler. Dominic won with a roll-up, kind of their thing with roll-ups here lately. And at least it wasn't a distraction. It wasn't. There might have been a little interfering going on with the two other guys on the outside. But I think the Mysterios are winning the tag belts at Backlash because they're getting a tag title shot against the Dirty Dogs. Is that what they're calling them now? Yeah. So that'll happen. Then we had Reginald versus Tamina. Why? I don't know.
I don't know.
It ended in a DQ when I think Baszler and Nia Jax got involved. They beat up Tamina and Natalya after. They're setting up their tag match for next week. At least it's not at the pay-per-view, so I'll give them that. Then we had the main event, the 10-man tag. It's all Apollo Crews, King Corbin, Otis, Chad Gable, and Sami Zayn versus Big E, the Street Profits, Owens, and Nakamura. The heels win this. It's just a typical SmackDown 10-man tag. It really wasn't. I don't think there's a whole lot of story building in this. It was just kind of throw some guys together.
You guys are here. We'll give you something to do. Here we go.
That's kind of what I got out of it. But again, the whole story for this big show is mostly Cesaro becoming the number one contender. They reference Daniel Bryan, which is another topic we didn't really get into. We'll talk real quick after this. But Roman confronts Jimmy about all this stuff in the ring. It kind of ended after Cesaro stormed the ring. And Jimmy was trying to protect his brother Jay when Cesaro took them all out. So they're just building this dissension between the Uso family. So again, good progression. I like where they're going with this. I want to see where it happens with Jimmy for sure going forward. But that's the end of that show. But I do want to get in. We did kind of neglect to mention Daniel Bryan lost the Loser Leaves SmackDown match last week. He is apparently his contract has expired. What do we think is going to happen with Daniel Bryan moving forward?
He'll go to New Japan or ROH.
He's going to re-sign.
I think so too.
They're going to throw so much money at him and give him a very, very light contract. And I think that's what he's holding out for.
A lighter schedule?
Lighter schedule, more money.
They got him. I think they got him on a lighter schedule the last time he was up on a contract.
Well, not only that,
or when he came back.
Right. Not only that, the Bella Twins are supposed to be coming back later this fall. I have a hard time believing Daniel's going to leave, but never know. I mean, Daniel's kind of his own guy, does his own thing a little bit. I would love to see him in some other matches with some other talent and other companies for sure. I'm not saying it has to be AEW. It doesn't. But I would definitely.
You ain't saying it's got to be, but you want it to be. But here's the thing.
I think it could be good, but yeah.
Like I said before, they already have too many fucking chefs in the kitchen.
I agree there.
You bring another one in there, he'll just get blown to the wayside. Like, there's no point.
To me, though, this wouldn't be like Christian, though. This would be a big deal. if that were to happen. Now, again, it don't have to.
Christian was supposed to be your big deal.
It was supposed to, and they've kind of dropped the ball a little bit with him, I'm not going to lie. But I do think Daniel Bryan and Omega would be cool, or Daniel Bryan and some of the other guys they have. But, again, not everybody has to go to AEW. I'm not saying that.
He'll be going to the wayside.
He'll be re-signing with WWE. Let's be honest. I mean, I would assume so. Like Tony said, I wholly agree with him. And how many times can we say I agree with Tony on certain wrestling things? So there we go. Yeah, hey, it does happen in a blue moon. Yeah. But with that, guys,
you sound like that when you say yeah.
But with that, everybody, we've kind of run a little long tonight, so we're going to get out of here. But thank you for watching episode 4 of the Fat Boy Cartel. If you like what you saw here, please comment down below. Hit the like and subscribe button. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button, and definitely hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we put up new content on our channel. And until our next podcast, guys.
Before you sign off,
okay?
Is that the Millennium Falcon on your hat?
Yeah, it is.
I swear to God, I've been staring at that thing like, what the fuck is that? All right, my bad. Go ahead.
All right, guys, take it easy. Take care. Bye bye.
Yeah, ready to go, man. Lock and load. That's right. I swear to God that I can jump and roll. Yeah, I got a shot and I ain't stopping, no. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable.